a demo example how Redux can be implemented in JavaScript. So the thing is, Redux is not necessary, like we don't have to implement Redux in React. It can be implemented in a normal JavaScript. So first I'll create a file called redux demo.js. Okay. I'll in my terminal I'll do npm init -y. It will create my package.json. Then I'll do npm install redux. It will install my Redux library in my project. Now I have to import this in my JS file. I'll use constant Redux. And in JavaScript, if we want to import some library, instead of import, we use require. We use Redux. That being done. So our first step was to create a data store, a store to collect data, to manage data. How can we do that? We can create a constant called store data and do redux dot create store. It will create a store data. Store data can be manipulated using reduction function. So I'll write reduction function above here. Okay, reduction function is a simple function which will take two attributes, state, the previous state or the current state, and the action what we needs to be done with that previous state. So I'll create a reduction func. And it should always return the state. There will be no scenario where it should that the return is undefined if we are creating a reduction function. Just create a state action. Okay, here I'll just return an state called counter, whose value will be implemented, increased whenever this reduction function is called. Okay. Initially, since we don't have any state, I will give a dummy state to it, whose value will be 0. Okay. This is our reduction function, but how the store will know that this is our reduction function? We have to just pass it in our store data. Okay, done. Reduction function for manipulation. We have store data. Now what we have to do? We have to create our component which will subscribe our manipulated. I'll just create a simple function called subs func. It doesn't have to have any attribute, it's not required. I'll create a called latest store, latest state, and I'll put store data dot state. Once again, state. It will return this counter state, and I'll just print it. For now, I'll just print this latest state. Okay. Now my component needs to be subscribed. So what I'll do store data dot subscribe for subs function. Okay. Now I have subscribed also. Now I need to send a dispatch action. To manipulate my state. I can do that using store data dot dispatch, and here I have to send an action. Okay. Action is basically an object which has a call type. I'll say increase. Okay. And let's just run this function and see what happens. To run this function, you have to write node and the name of your file where you have written the code. Okay, I think store data state is the name. Okay. It's not use state, it's get state, because we are getting the state. We are getting counter as 2. Okay. Why we are getting counter as 2, but here only with there we have initiated 1. So what happened, once this reduction function is initialized, the counter has increased by 1. Then here again I dispatched the function and I got my counter as 2. Redux store 2. So if I just console.log and console this store data, let's see what happens. Okay. See, once you initialize the reduction function, this function will run and it will go, counter will increase by 1. Then again I called this function using dispatch, so counter will increase by one more time 1 and it's called 2. Now I'll show you how we can use action. Suppose if I write a condition called action dot type equal to increase So what it will do, it should return this. Otherwise just return state. Okay, I'll just clear this. So initially when this function is initialized, there is no increase since the action type is not there. Action increase is not there, so it is returning state. And once I ask for dispatch function, it will go inside this if block and increase the count.